demonstration calling for better housing and better wages at the Ronald Reagan State Building in LA is going to take a wild turn once this California Highway Patrol officer gets violent with one of the protesters.
Tell me what democracy looks like!
He elbows the protester into the door, most likely because he somehow felt threatened by her lightly grabbing his arm as the officer was pushing the man in green out of the building, who was already complying with the officer's order to leave said building, putting his hands up to clearly show he is posing no threat to the officer while walking away, not even reacting to the officer having his hands on him. Then the officer gets physical with the man in yellow for holding the door open just before things really take a dangerous turn. The officer then pulls his service weapon out and points it at the crowd of demonstrators after suffering an apparent injury, recklessly and needlessly endangering the lives of demonstrators, all because this is how and what he was trained to do when he feels threatened. The crowd's reaction says it all, as they are clearly dumbfounded that the cop felt threatened while on the ground despite another officer standing directly beside him, and the crowd backing off completely once he disengaged with the man in yellow and his partner stepped in to break up the scuffle. Film the Police LA, an excellent follow, chimed in on the officer's actions with this hilarious yet depressingly true analysis of the officer's actions, as did the People's City Council of LA, roasting local news outlet KTLA5's deceptive and factually untrue headline from their coverage of the demonstration, where they're clearly trying to both sides the officer's actions instead of telling it like it is, which is easily summed up by this meme People's City Council retweeted. What makes KTLA's coverage more infuriating is that they had reporters and cameras on the ground covering the event and still chose to run with this headline for their print coverage of the story, providing cover for the cop by leaving just enough ambiguity about what caused the officer to be hurt in the first place, failing to mention that the video evidence clearly shows him playing a massive part in how he was injured. The Alliance for Californians for Community Empowerment, a grassroots, community-driven organization taking collective action to fight against racial, economic, housing, healthcare, and education injustices in California communities, do excellent work and get some much-needed wins for the working class. This particular demonstration sought to urge Governor Gavin Newsom to sign SB 567 into law, named the Durazo Homelessness Prevention Act, which would give low-income tenants more legal protections from unjust evictions and infeasible rent hikes, which in turn would protect and prevent more renters from becoming unhoused, helping to slow the endless cycle of gentrification by pricing out low-income renters from their neighbors. Specifically, SB 567 would close eviction law loopholes, expand tenant protections, cap rent increases, and create more mechanism and pathways for tenants and the state to enforce these protections and hold exploitative landlords accountable.